Hey everyone, welcome to the Martine's Musings podcast. I'm your host, Martine Felton, and today we have with us Carrie Verrocchio. She is a fellow author, podcaster, motivational speaker, and coach. And I want to welcome you to the show today, Carrie. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Martine, and thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on your show.
No problem. How was your day today?
Today, it was good, even though we woke up to snow again, second day in April.
Where are
What?
you? You're upstate
Upstate?
New York, right?
Yes.
Okay. What
Yeah.
town?
Binghamton.
Oh,
Binghamton, New
okay.
York.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
Yeah. So we entered April with snow. It snowed again this morning, but it looks like it's going to move out now. So, but it was still a great day, right? It is what we make it.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure you're used to the snow.
Very, very used to it. Not that I like it yet, but I am used to it.
Oh, okay. Okay. So tell us about yourself, Carrie, and as a coach, a speaker, and podcaster. Tell us what you do and how you help people.
Yeah. I focus on women over 40. The
Mhm.
interesting thing is I have clients that are in their 20s, and when I talk to them, it's because they don't want to wake up at that over 40 age and wonder what happened to their dreams. And it's interesting to have that dynamic between the younger set and the older set
Mhm.
to get that meshing there. But I focus on women over 40 who have forgotten how to dream, and I help them grab hold of their dreams, reconnect with them, because often we forget how to dream. We forget what our dreams were. We get so muddled down in life, and life presses us down so much that we forget what our dreams even are. So
Mhm.
I help people reconnect with their dreams and then take steps to make them a reality. So they're living the life they were created to live.
So why do you think I know you said you focus on women 40 and up,
Yeah.
but why do you think you've been seeing a younger clientele?
I believe they don't want to be. This is going to sound like, I'll say it and then I'll explain it. They don't want to become their mothers.
Yes,
Not in a
I was
bad way.
thinking
Not
that
that they
too,
don't,
but I wanted to ask.
yeah. I mean, it's not that they don't respect their mothers.
Yes,
But they don't want to get to that point where they wondered why they didn't follow their dreams in their 20s and they want to seize them now.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm in my 40s and I have a daughter who is in her 20s, and she has a very, very entrepreneurial spirit. You know what
Uh-huh.
I mean? And I try to support that in any way possible, because I can resonate with the being muddled down in your corporate job and not following your dreams. You know what I mean? And I did that for a long time up until a few
Yeah.
years ago, and now I'm finally doing what I love. I still have my corporate job
Uh-huh.
nonetheless, but I'm doing, this as well.
Yes. Yeah, and it's so the women I work with, some of them want to leave their corporate jobs and
Mhm.
some of them don't. They don't want to leave. They just want to build their dream on the side of it.
Right.
It's a really cool meshing. And I've actually started coaching some men too who are the same. We tend to think that men belong in that corporate role. This is kind of what they were born to
Yeah.
do, but
Not
a
all of
lot of men have that entrepreneurial itch and they don't
them.
they want to follow it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. So what tell me more about your empowerment, how you um coach people with empowerment, and how you do that.
Yeah. We start, oddly enough, you hear the phrase sell them, give them what they want, or sell them what they want, but give them what they need.
Mhm.
And so when people enter into coaching with me, whether it's through group coaching or one-on-one, the first thing we focus on is their overall health and fitness. It is the foundation, I believe, because our body, this houses who we really are. It's the shell that holds us
Mhm.
and lets us do things. And if this shell isn't healthy, it doesn't matter what our minds are saying, we don't have the energy to move forward. So we focus first on this shell that houses who we are, the soul of us. And we work on health and fitness. We work on water. We work on healthy foods, healthy whole foods. How do we fuel our body?
Yeah.
How do we work out? What's the best workouts? How do we sleep? What is the best way to get a great night's sleep? Are we sleeping well? We talk about blue light blockers and CBD oil, and we just bring all of these things in so that
Hmm.
we can set this foundation of a healthy body before we move on to anything else.
Yeah, because that's important. Like you said, that your body, your shell,
Yeah.
is important, and you should work on that first
Yes.
before anything else. I totally agree with that. And it's
Yeah.
also mindset shifts too. I
Big
feel
time.
like a lot of times we, as adults, because we're so um conditioned to think a certain way, that and we are so stuck in our mindsets of what we learned when as children,
Yeah.
growing up and going through difficult times, that we get stuck in that mind shift. So it's kind of hard for adults to change their mindset. I know it is for me, someone in their 40s
Yeah.
versus someone in their 20s. Do you think that their mindset shifts are easier?
Sometimes yes, and
Mhm.
sometimes no.
Mhm.
Sometimes no, because we tend to think, so you and I are going to think that in your 20s is very, very young. I remember in my 20s I felt very, very old, right?
Yeah.
Looking back, I was a kid. But in what I'm finding is that women, especially women in their 20s, their mindsets are so ingrained with their mother's mindset
Mhm.
and their father's mindset to an extent, but they're so ingrained with the people who raised them, let's put it that way, that
Yeah.
those mindsets, even at that age, are tough to break because
Yes.
those things we grew up with. So our brains really are grasping hold of everything until we're 5. Like that's where that foundation is set.
Mhm.
And those formative years. And so we tend to think of our 20s as so young, but those formative years have made a huge impression on us. And there may be abuse, and there may be physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse. There may be things that were said when we were a kid that are even in our 20s are just have become ingrained,
And you
and we
carry
have
it.
to get
You
all of
carry
those
it.
roots. Yeah, we've got to break all those roots. So
Mhm.
that mindset shift is tough no matter what age we start working on
Yeah,
that.
I agree.
Yeah.
So what about the radical empowerment? How can that change your life?
The radical empowerment method
Mhm.
is a method I designed when I was walking through my shift. And the background of that, going back now to 2010, I lost my brother, my oldest brother.
Mhm.
And we were very close. And he fought cancer for 3 years leading up to his death. And during that 3 years that he was fighting colon cancer, we became closer and we talked so much. And just before he died, he he made me make a promise to him that I would spend the rest of my life pouring
Yeah.
into the lives of others. That he made me promise to help others choose more life while they still had life, because
Yes.
he knew his life was over. And there was so much he wanted to do. I mean, he taught me how to live while he was dying,
Mhm.
but there was still so much more. He was a young man. He was 48 years old. I can't even, now that I'm years past 48 now, I'm 55. I can't imagine that my life being over at 48. All the things that I have done since I was 40, between 48 and now.
Mhm.
And that promise I made to him set me on this path. And a few months after he died, I had this dream. And in this dream, I walked into a restaurant, and seated with his back to me was this gentleman. And I knew it was my brother. I knew it was him. And in my dream, I was calling his name and trying to get his attention, doing
Mhm.
this to his shoulder and, knocking him on the shoulder. And I just kept trying so much to get his attention, and he was completely ignoring me. And I finally I circled around in front of him, and I planted my hands on my hips and I said, "Billy Burger." Why won't you talk to me? I just want to invite you to our house for dinner. I miss you. Billy, talk to me. And from his seated position, my brother looked up at me. This is all in my dream. It was technicolor clear.
Wow.
And I said, why won't you come? Why won't you talk to me? And he looked up at me and he said, because I died. Don't you remember I died? I'm only here to give you a message. Life is short, little sister. Choose wisely.
Mm-hmm.
And I woke up and I knew that it was time for me to make better choices. It was time for me to get off the sidelines of my life and start living it. It was time for me to fulfill the promise I'd made to him. It was time for me to really live and move forward. So that dream radically changed my life. And I started on this path, which became the Radical Empowerment Method.
Mm-hmm.
And I dove deep into my health and fitness. And then I dove deep into joy. And what does joy mean? And what does happiness mean? And why is it important? Why is it important for me to have laughter in my life? That seems so frivolous to me. Mm-hmm. With all the things I wanted to do to fulfill this promise, why did I need laughter in my life? Why did I need to focus on finding the funny?
Because a lot of us, we don't get that. We don't get that. We're not taught that laughter is important, that find your joy, find your purpose. We're not taught that at all. We're taught to go to work, go to school, go to work, find a good job, make sure you have benefits, pension preferably.
Climb the corporate ladder.
Climb the corporate ladder and retire and go somewhere and die.
Yes. And then she retired and then she died.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're taught. And my brother knew there was so much more to life.
Yes.
And he is still my why, my driving force. Mm-hmm. I lost my dad 4 years after my brother died. And he again was saying to me, honey, that promise, you must do what you were called to do. Mm-hmm. Stop hiding behind the desk. Stop making excuses, which was another step on my journey to radical empowerment, identifying my excuses and letting them go. And knowing that the only thing holding me back was me. Those excuses that I made sound so good and so convincing were all just my fear saying, you can't do this. So we find an excuse.
Yeah. I just posted something the other day. Everything you want is on the other side of fear.
Yes.
And that just came to me out of a blue, like a download, I guess. And I was like, wow, everything you want is on the other side of fear. Because once you can conquer that fear, everything is open. Everything is kind of your option at, yours for the taking, if you will. So, and it's all about conquering that fear and getting off of that false programming, because fear is false. My post was fear, false emotions appearing real. That's what fear stands for. And I've seen that's been, out there for a while, but I really, really believe that those fears that we hold inside of us are really just false emotions, just us, it's not real.
That's exactly it. Mm-hmm. And it's really getting real with yourself and identifying where those excuses came from.
Yeah.
Writing them down and then burning them and never letting them back in your life again. Getting rid of them some way. I burned mine. I went outside and burned them, and it just was so freeing to watch those excuses go up in flames. Mm-hmm. And there was no way for me to piece them back together again. Right. If I'd ripped them up, I'd have been in the trash can taping pieces of paper together, but they were gone and there was no taking them back. And that's definitely a huge part of this radical change to radical empowerment. Another step was forgiveness, radical forgiveness. Mm-hmm. And that went hand in hand with the excuses. Well, I was sexually abused when I was a child, so I can't do this. I'm damaged merchandise. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't just letting go of the excuse, but actually forgiving my abuser.
Mm-hmm.
And I held on to this Hawaiian forgiveness prayer, which says you thank them. You thank them not because what they did was right, but because the abuse that they put on you is what made you the strong person that you are now. You thank them for that. You actually apologize to them for holding on to this for so long. I am sorry that I have given you this much power over my life for all these years.
Right.
Thank you for this lesson. I love you. I love the lessons you have taught me, and I forgive you.
That's
So
tough. That's
it's
tough
really tough.
to say those things, not even to the face of your accuser, but just say it
Yes.
like that, in knowing that that
Mhm.
person had hurt you in such a way, and for
Yeah.
you to turn it around and actually thank them. That's tough.
Yeah.
I would
It's
find that tough.
very hard. And
Mhm.
it's not something that happens overnight. Radical forgiveness is
Yeah.
a process, a long process
Mhm.
because,
Transformation, period.
yeah.
All of these emotional journeys and emotional healings and spiritual
Yes.
healings that we tend to go through, it's not a light switch. It is definitely a process, and you have to commit yourself and be consistent and be
Yes.
intentional and all of that stuff. So I think that's why a
Yeah.
lot of people kind of fail, at the
Yeah.
end of the day, or jump off the boat and get back on and go back and forth, because it is hard and it is a long haul. You have to be in it for the long haul.
Yes. Yes. And
Mm.
you're right. You're right. And I set that forth with my clients right from the beginning. Sometimes they will ask me, well, do you have a coaching plan or a group coaching plan shorter than 6 weeks or than
Mhm.
6 months? And the answer is no, because this is work. This is not going to happen in a week. It's not going to happen in a month. It's not going to happen in 3 months. We're going to scratch the surface and get you going in 6 months
Mhm.
because there's so much deep work. It's getting into your head and letting go of all of those negative things you say to yourself,
Right.
naming your mean girl or your mean guy,
Yeah.
and giving letting her know she's not renting space in your head anymore. And we actually have a lot of fun naming our mean girl. Mine's is Stacy. So I'm sorry for any Stacys that are listening. I'm sure you're very, very nice. But my mean girl is named Stacy.
I'm gonna have to think of one. Oh my God, I need a mean girl name, because
It
there's,
just
yeah.
it's something about it when you give it a name. And there's both sides of the coin. Some people say, no, don't give it a name because then you want to hold on to it. But giving it a name, really giving her a name, really
Mhm.
helped me to be able to kick her out. Or to say, okay, Stacy, you brought this thought into my head, but guess what? You can just carry right on out the other side. Just to be able to talk to her and say, Stacy, not today. I don't have time for you today.
That
Come
mean
here.
girl, for me, I'm equating her to the ego. And I
Mhm.
and I believe in the the bringing together of your ego and your light side and your higher self, because we actually need that kind of dark, shadowy side of ourselves to move forward. That's how it's a balance. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? So I feel like if we only had the higher, our higher selves, or our angel, the angel on our shoulder versus the
Yeah.
devil on our shoulder, if we only had the angel, then what are we learning really?
Yeah. That's right.
Hmm.
It's like, so going back to the beginning of this podcast, when you asked me about the day and we were talking about the snow,
Yeah.
what I've really realized is that I don't appreciate the warmth that comes with spring and summer without the cold that I've gone through. It
Mm.
it just is it's the same thing without we just don't know how good is if we don't see the other side of it.
Yes. Yeah. Uh-huh.
We need both. We
Yeah.
need both, and it's the hard times that help us grow,
For
for
sure.
sure.
I definitely agree with that. And those two need to be, it's a balance. Like I said, it, needs to be integrated in some, in some way so that you can,
Yes.
live your life balanced.
Yes. Yes. That's how it happens.
So
Yeah.
tell me about your book.
So the book, The Radical Empowerment Method,
Yeah.
is it takes that 6-week program that we start with. It's a 6-week online program that comes with group coaching. And then we go into another group coaching program if you want to continue. But it takes that online program and is breaking it down into book form with
Mhm.
activities at the end of each chapter to help you walk through that. I know that when I started my personal development journey, I wasn't quite ready to invest in a program or a coach, but I was ready to invest in books.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring that radical empowerment method and make it in a form that it could get into everyone's hands,
Mhm.
whether they ever chose to move on with me or not. My hope is that when they read this book and they read about this method into radical empowerment, that they will want to hire a coach somewhere, a coach they resonate with, a coach
Mhm.
that they know they will work awesomely one-on-one with.
Yeah.
That is my hope, that it will ignite a fire that it's really geared towards women, that these women will want to go out and find someone to help them on their journey, because we all need someone. It's
Yeah.
not it's not as if you start coaching and then you never have a coach again. I have 3 coaches presently that I'm working with
I was just about
because
to ask you that. Do you have a coach? Because I know coaches need other coaches in their life. I'm currently trying to find one myself that
yeah,
I'm working with.
it's so important, so
It is.
important. So I have a business coach.
Mhm.
And then I have 2 life/business coaches, and the reason I have 2 is because they are very different energies,
Mhm.
extremely different energies. And I
Mhm.
wanted that. I wanted to bring in all 3 of them, go from the gambit of very masculine to very feminine to very woo-woo energy. And
Okay.
that mix, when you put all that in the mixing bowl and you start mixing that up, you come out with the best cake ever.
That's
It
perfect.
is
I love
it
that.
is perfect. It is all the right ingredients,
Yeah.
and it gives me that balance that I so crave.
Indeed.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, always have a coach.
Yes. Well, this has been really great, Carrie. Thank you for coming in and sharing your wisdom
Oh,
and
you're
what you
welcome. Thank
do,
you.
and your radical empowerment method. This has been really helpful for
Thank
me,
you.
and I'm sure to a lot of people out there.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. So if people wanted to reach you, all of Carrie's stuff, it will be in the description box. But if people wanted to reach you now, where could they reach you?
The best place is my website, which is CarrieVee. So it's not
Hmm.
the EE, CarrieV at coachcarrievee.com. And
Okay.
that has everything. That will have all of my social media sites, the book I've written, the programs I have available, podcasts, it's all there.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So thank you for joining us. And I will leave that there. Everyone, thank you. I wanted to also remind everyone that my book is still on sale. And thanks for purchasing, Carrie.
Oh, I can't wait to read it. Cannot
Yeah.
wait.
My book is still available. You Love, You Learn. It's still out. Here it is. Here's the cover right here, on my website, martinefelton.com. It's also available on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and other major book retailers. So everyone, thank you for joining Martine's Musings, and I'll see you next time.